A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved, he said, "Woman, behold your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother." And from that hour the disciple took her into his home. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. They say that people treat things according to what they think it is. So the first test of sanity is whether or not someone sees what's really there. The second test of sanity is whether or not someone acts according to what is really there. What we see and how we act ultimately determines whether we're living in the real world or not. Mary is a real person, and she's your mother and mine. Now take a moment just to think about this. She's your mother, and she's mine. You know it, but do you live as though you know it? Do you see Mary and treat her as she really is? According to the Gospel writers, St. Luke's Gospel, of all the Gospels, tells us the most about Mary in a way that helps us to see her as she really is. And I like to believe that Luke would have sat down face to face with Mary herself in order to know the details he has so carefully recorded in his gospel. Luke actually needed to hear Mary's voice in order to write what he wrote. Now imagine sitting face to face with Mary as Luke did. He records details about what Mary felt and thought during her encounter with the angel Gabriel. He also tells us about the different events that happened during the birth of Jesus, like the visit by the shepherds, and how Mary pondered in her heart what had occurred. Now, how could Luke know about this unless he had been told firsthand? No doubt, Luke must have sat with Mary, looked into her eyes, and listened with keen concentration as her sweet voice retold the events as she could remember them. And certainly, she would have remembered them with flawless accuracy. Who is Mary to you here and now? You know, you can't love what you don't know, and each new thing you learn about someone is something new to love. Gaining knowledge is the key to the Christian life. As we know, Mary is a person, not a dogma. All the dogmas about Mary describe her, but they are not her. God has told us much about Mary through the Church. Hence, there are some things we can know dogmatically about her. She was born without original sin and full of grace, and was consequently preserved from all sin thereafter. She is also the mother of Jesus, and thus she is rightfully called the Mother of God. So these examples, and there are more, of Marian dogmas reflect the constant teaching of the Church since the earliest centuries. But Mary is not just a person. She's so personal with her children, as all the saints are. Saints look upon us as a great cloud of witnesses who desire not to be merely spectators, but to be personally involved in our lives as intercessors and friends. So we will never sit at a banquet table with folks like Peter Pan or Papa Smurf, but we're going to sit with friends like St. Joseph, St. Teresa of Calcutta, St. John Vianney, and Mary. The invitation has been issued and the table is set. Furthermore, Mary takes a special place in our lives that even exceeds that of all the other saints. She is first and foremost our intercessor, our friend, and our mother. The tradition of holding Mary to be the spiritual mother of the living, that is, of you and me, goes all the way back, believe it or not, to the cross of Christ and to our care for her. There at the cross, Jesus gave his mother to St. John and symbolically to us too, that we might also be under her protection, guidance, and help. So the moment of adoption at the cross was climactic, as St. John in his gospel tells us. After he had given her to us, St. John says, Jesus knew that all was now finished. So Mary is a person, alive and glorified today. She's our mother, and she will be for all eternity. She loves you, and she loves us more than we could even comprehend. As Frank Sheed has remarked, you can't love what you don't know about someone. So my advice to you, my exhortation, is to get to know Mary even better. Read good books about Mary. As many of you do, say the Rosary daily and really meditate on those mysteries. See the life of Christ through the eyes of Mary. And most of all, speak with her and invite her intercession, often through simple little conversations. Mary's always listening and ready to act. As one saint has written, only after the Last Judgment will Mary get any rest. From now until then, she is much too busy with her children.